Hey guys, welcome back to
MegaJordinary.
So I am going to give our usual disclaimer before we begin. All of the topics that we're going to be discussing in this video contain information which we have obtained from the internet and multiple news sources. They are in no way, shape or form meant to offend or upset anyone. It's merely for educational and entertainment purposes. And all of the information in this video is readily available online for the masses to access. We have just accumulated it all into one video into our own words.
So today we're going to be discussing the kidnapping of Denise Huskins. This case is known in the media as the real Gone Girl case. Denise Huskins was born and raised in Vallejo, California. She had a career as a very established physical therapist and was working in the Bay Area in 2014 when she met a man named Aaron Quinn, who, like Denise, was also a California native. Aaron also worked as a physical therapist nearby in the Bay Area.
When Denise and Aaron initially met each other, they both said that it was almost like love at first sight, like they were drawn together like it was meant to be. But a little bit of a spanner in the works, Aaron had just gotten out of a long-term relationship that was a bad relationship in the end, because he discovered that his fiancée was actually unfaithful to him on numerous occasions. So he was obviously still traumatized from that, you know, he was still upset. He thought, was it too soon to get into another relationship? But he couldn't deny the attraction he had towards Denise and that connection, that chemistry. So they did start seeing each other for a while. And then in February of 2015, Denise discovered text messages on Aaron's phone. And those text messages were from Aaron's ex-fiancée, and they were talking about rekindling their romance.
Denise said that this revelation was devastating, so they decided to take a bit of a break for a couple of weeks. Eventually, on the 22nd of March 2015, Denise had decided to go and stay in Aaron's house, which was located in Mare Island, Vallejo, so they could talk things through and see if their relationship was worth fixing. They said that on the night of the 22nd, they had ordered in a takeaway pizza and sat on the couch, discussing their circumstances and eventually deciding that they were both willing to work on things and essentially to have a fresh start. After this big discussion, they decided to go to bed for around 12 AM.
So, little did the couple know what events were about to unfold just a couple of hours after they went to bed. At around 3 AM on the 23rd of March 2015, Denise and Aaron were woke up by the sound of an intruder in Aaron's home. Denise said that she heard a man shout, "Wake up, this is a robbery, we're not here to hurt you." At this point it was very clear that the intruder was a man standing over Aaron and Denise in the bed. And the intruder ordered Denise to tie Aaron up, so he instructed her to tie Aaron's hands behind his back and then tie his 2 feet together. And once she'd done this, the intruder then ushered Denise into the wardrobe in Aaron's room, and he done the same to Denise. He tied her hands up, he tied her feet up, and he actually also drugged Aaron and Denise during this process. And once he had done this, he brought Aaron into the wardrobe as well, and he put cling film around Aaron and Denise's eyes and then put a pair of swimming goggles on top of both of their eyes as well.
Headphones with pre-recorded messages were placed on the couple's head, which referred to Aaron by name. As things transpired, the intruder had asked the couple a few questions and came to realise that they had the wrong person. It turns out the intruder was actually looking for Aaron's ex-fiancée, who previously lived at this address with Aaron. Apparently Denise and Aaron's ex had quite similar physical appearances. Following this revelation, the intruder allegedly told Denise that they were going to take her for 48 hours, and in the meantime Aaron would have to do some tasks for them in the meantime.
The intruder moved Aaron down to the couch in the living room, and the intruder told Aaron that there was more than just him, that there were 2 other men in Aaron's house also. He kind of alluded to the fact that they were a gang that were hired to sort out like financial debt, kind of along those lines. And the intruder told Aaron that they had created an email for correspondence and that he was to call out of work sick the following day, and that he was also to text Denise's boss saying that there was a family emergency and she wouldn't be back for the week. The intruder said that there was cameras everywhere watching Aaron, and this was kind of to scare him so that he wouldn't go to the police. And the intruder also wanted Aaron to withdraw money out of the bank the next day. When the intruder left, Aaron passed out because the drugs that the intruder had administered to Aaron and Denise started kicking in, and so Aaron was out cold for hours after this. And once Aaron passed out, the intruder had bundled Denise into the back of a vehicle and brought her to a house that was located at Lake Tahoe. And when Aaron awoke a couple of hours later on the afternoon of March the 23rd, he contacted the Vallejo Police Department, and this was at approximately 1:53 p.m.
So Aaron had actually received emails from the intruder requesting $17,000 in ransom money. When the police arrived at Aaron's house, they did potentially think that this could be a domestic violence crime or murder. So they brought Aaron to the station for questioning, and they had questioned him for 18 hours. The FBI also became involved in the investigation, and they went ahead and gave Aaron a polygraph test, which he actually failed.
Now, polygraphs don't actually hold up as evidence in a court of law. They aren't foolproof, basically. It's actually believed that they are only accurate between 80 to 90% of the time, and so you can't use it in a court of law. So on the 24th of March, the San Francisco Chronicle received an email from the alleged kidnapper with a recording of Denise Huskins. And in this recording and this email, they said that Denise would be released the following day. And lo and behold, Denise was released on the 25th of March in the early hours of the morning in Huntington Beach, California, which was very close to her mother's home. And this was 400 miles away from Vallejo, so 400 miles away from where she was initially abducted from Aaron's house.
Denise said that once she had realised where she had been dropped, she made her way to her mother's house, but no one was there at the time, so she claimed to have met a stranger. Some say it was a neighbour's gardener on the road, so she asked could she use their phone to call her dad, which she did, and proceeded to leave a voicemail, and then made her way to her dad's house. And in the meantime, her dad listened to the voicemail and informed the police. The police quickly made their way to Denise, who was waiting nearby in the neighbour's apartment. The police had questioned her and she had told them everything that happened. She was obviously very shaken up at this stage and still in shock, so she did in fact withhold some details.
When the police got to the neighbour's apartment, the police initially asked Denise had she been sexually assaulted. Denise said no, she hadn't been sexually assaulted. It later transpired though that Denise was sexually assaulted twice by her kidnapper, but he had threatened her not to tell anybody that this had happened, and if she did, that her family were in grave danger. So it's understandable that she was afraid to tell the police this information initially, because she had literally just went through a horrific ordeal. She only got free, she was all over the place, discombobulated, distressed. So with a threat like this, and she hadn't, her mum and dad weren't there, she wasn't able to make contact with them, so she was probably afraid that if she told the police this, that her family would be harmed. Now, this is where the case takes an even bigger turn. The police couldn't understand one major part of this whole ordeal. They couldn't understand how Denise had been released 2 days after her kidnapping without the ransom of $17,000 ever being paid. And she was also dropped off near her mother's home. The police just seen this whole thing as a major red flag. And this is when they likened it to the 2014 movie Gone Girl. They said there was a lot of parallels between this, and they basically thought the whole thing was staged after Gone Girl.
And then at 9:30 p.m. on March 25th, the Vallejo Police Department Public Information Officer Lieutenant Kenny Park held a press conference saying that the entire thing was a hoax and that the couple had wasted police resources and that they owe the community a big apology. 5 hours after the controversial press conference, the San Francisco Chronicle received an email alleged to be from one of the kidnappers. Denise and Aaron said there seemed to be more than one person involved, And the author of this email referred to the group as the Gentlemen Kidnappers.
And in the email, the author even attached photographs of the room that Denise was held captive in. And an email was actually sent to Lieutenant Kenny Park, demanding that he publicly apologise to Denise and Aaron for calling the whole thing a hoax. The police force, however, still believed that it was just an extra measure that Aaron and Denise had put into place to prove they were innocent. So Denise and Aaron lived through absolute hell, like proper character assassination for the next couple of months. Like everybody like in their area, in their community, across the world thought that Denise and Aaron had tried to emulate the plot of the Gone Girl movie. They thought that they just wanted 15 minutes of fame. But just like a movie, another plot twist came to play. And on the 5th of June 2015, 40 miles away from Vallejo in Dublin, California, at around 3:34 a.m, another home invasion took place. And this couple in Dublin actually went through the exact same ordeal that Aaron and Denise had went through. However, this time the couple fought back and the intruder got panicked and fled the scene. But by the grace of God, he left behind his mobile phone. And of course, the Dublin police were able to trace that phone back to its owner. And the owner was a man named Matthew Muller, a lawyer and former Marine that lived in San Francisco.
The police had traced him to a house in South Lake Tahoe, and at this property they found the vehicle linked to Denise's abduction, and in the house they found a wealth of evidence that linked him even more to the crimes. They found evidence such as duct tape, goggles, and so on. So on the 8th of June, Matthew Muller was arrested. Whilst in police custody, they learned that Matthew was in quite a lot of debt, and he was also going through a divorce. They also discovered that Matthew had been using a drone to spy on his victims before breaking into their properties. There was also no one else involved with Matthew. He just played a pre-recording that made it sound like there was.
Matthew tried to claim that he was suffering from PTSD from his time being a Marine and bipolar disorder. And he pleaded guilty to 1 count of kidnapping. His plea bargain was that if he pled guilty to 1 count of kidnapping, that he would get 40 years in prison as opposed to life in prison. And eventually, on the 16th of March 2017, a long time after his arrest, Muller was found guilty and sentenced to 40 years in prison. Denise and Aaron did hold a press conference requesting an apology from the Vallejo Police Department, but all they got in the way of an apology was an apology letter. So they publicly shamed this couple, saying that they had created this mad elaborate hoax when in actual fact they had done nothing of the sort and they were innocent. But yet the Vallejo Police Department couldn't publicly apologise. They had to do it like under the table. Don't like that. And Aaron and Denise weren't happy with this, understandably. They sued the Vallejo Police Department for character assassination and how they mishandled the case. There's a lot that they done wrong in this case, so I would urge you to check it out. There's like a long list. So Aaron and Denise did get a settlement for $2.5 million. So Denise and Aaron actually got married in 2018 and they now have a baby daughter. So it was a happy ending in the end, but obviously they went through a terrible time, and they have actually released a book about it called Victim F: From Crime Victims to Suspects to Survivors.
So, like I said in the last video, spooky season is nearly upon us.
Can't wait.
Whoop.
And we plan for the entire month of October to upload 2 videos a week, all about paranormal, supernatural, creepy cases of like ghosts, aliens, etc. So be sure to subscribe.
Turn on the little bell so you'll be notified for all of these spooky season videos. And don't forget, give us a thumbs up. That's it for today. Over and out.
Bye.